1% jumbo rate hike this week, announced by the Bank of Canada on Wednesday. The largest rate hike since 1998. And according to my Facebook feed, we are in an apocalyptic meltdown, the likes of which we haven't seen since the 1980s. I disagree. I am not an economist, but I would like to share my thoughts, and you can make of it what you will. You're free to disagree with me, and then I would like to offer one powerful piece of advice which I think will put your finances in good shape to help you cushion for the economic uncertainty ahead and put you in the driver's seat. And no one's talking about it. So, things are different than they were in the 1970s and 80s when there was crazy inflation, record high interest rates. There's some similarities, around gas prices, commodities, cost of food. There are some similarities, definitely. But there are a lot of fundamentals that are different, and I'm going to point those out, and you let me know what you think in the comments. First of all, the baby boomers drove some of that inflation back in the 70s and 80s. They were coming into their high earning, high spending years, bought lots of stuff, dumping lots of money into the economy. That can help drive inflation. The baby boomers are retired or semi-retired now, so that's different. In 1971, inflation started to get on a runaway in Canada, and the Bank of Canada did nothing on interest rates until 1973 in April. By then, inflation became entrenched. It was on a really fast train. That's not what is happening right now, and in fact, the Bank of Canada has learned its lessons from the past and is now using a very big hammer with these what they call jumbo rate hikes over the course of 2022. They are front loading the rate hikes. They are saying on no uncertain terms to Canadians that inflation needs to be brought under control. Okay, so completely different scenario than what we saw with policy back in the 70s and 80s regarding inflation. Completely different. Stress test. There was no mortgage stress test up until 2016, and then again another type of stress test on conventional borrowers in 2017, I believe it was. We have mortgage stress tests now. Most mortgage holders in Canada had to qualify under the stress test, which builds in a buffer into your mortgage in the event of rate hikes. So that will help absorb some of the rate shock quite a bit. Savings. During COVID, because of the government printing money and people had nowhere to go while they were in, quote, lockdown, nowhere to spend their money, Canadians accumulated piles and piles, and I do mean billions, in cash. That will also provide a little bit of a buffer through this inflationary cycle and increasing interest rates, because Canadians have saved up a lot of money. If you live in Alberta, you're also not going to do too bad. We don't have the national energy program like we did during Trudeau #1, and lots of other good things happening in Alberta, such as a remarkable economic recovery, stable house prices, increasing but stable, unlike what's going on, say, in Toronto, Vancouver, and the GTA. Okay, so these are all positives. What can you do about it? My philosophy is plan for the worst and hope for the best, because you can only control so much. Look at your net debt versus your real estate debt or your mortgage. Net debt, in my opinion, is consumer debt with no asset to show for it. Cut up a credit card if you have to. Canadians owe over $1.85 for every dollar of disposable income that they earn. So consumer debt is at a record high. What are we doing about it? Lots of politics about this, but your car, when you buy a brand new car and you drive it off the lot, it depreciates in value. You can't say that when you buy a house. If you ride it out, you stay in that house for 5 years or more, generally you're going to be okay, and you will hedge against things like inflation. If you put your trip to Maui on a credit card and you are paying 15% interest on the credit card, you have nothing to show for it when you get back from Maui. I know it was a great experience, but if you're making massive payments on that kind of consumer debt versus paying off your mortgage, which helps you create net worth and an asset, right? So give that some thought as we go into this, period of economic uncertainty. There are things you can do. Look at your consumer debt, look at your net debt. Stay in your home. If you can keep making the mortgage payments, ride it out. If you have any concerns or questions about getting a mortgage, refinancing or renewal, or just about what's happening in these uncertain times, you can call or text 403-382-7335 or look me up at karriflatla.com. Remember to like or subscribe my channel here on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll see you for next Friday Fire. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.